The alien girl had always believed humans were strange but harmless creatures, fragile primates clinging to their green and blue world out on the edge of the spiral arm. Her people spoke of humans with mockery in their voices, calling them children of dust who stumbled into space long after the great empires had risen. They told stories about the ridiculous myths humans told of themselves, tales of strength, bravery, and of something more. Impossible still breeding. To her people, breeding was a mechanical process, genes arranged in laboratories, offspring engineered in cradles of steel and glass. Love and pairing were considered outdated relics of primitive history. To imagine that two beings could join in chaos and emerge with new life was absurd, laughable, and yet the humans insisted they had bred for countless generations. Without machines, they claimed to create life through nothing but their bodies and their. Bond's alien girl laughed whenever she heard it, for clearly it was a story they told to seem mysterious. But everything changed the day she was captured in a border skirmish. Her vessel was torn apart by pirates, and she was sold at auction on a dusty world near human space. She expected slavery, cruelty, perhaps even death. What she did not expect was to be purchased by a human. He was not tall by the standards of her people. His body scarred, his hands calloused. His eyes, however, were steady and kind. He treated her not as property, but as companion, offering food, water, and freedom within the shelter of his camp. She asked him one night around the fire, "Why do you not keep me in chains? Why do you not treat me as the others did?" "Because I am not them," he said simply. "Because you are not a thing to own. You are alive. You deserve respect." His answer unsettled her. She was used to hierarchies, power, domination. But this human spoke of respect, as if it was air, as if it was obvious. She studied him, suspicious, yet curious. And in the days that followed, she saw his strange ways. He laughed often. He sang to himself. He shared every scrap of food equally. He fought fiercely when raiders came, but afterwards his hands trembled not from weakness, but from the weight of taking life. She could not reconcile these contradictions. Weeks passed, and her curiosity deepened. She questioned him about humanity. He told her stories of his people, their wars, their hopes, their families. And again he spoke of breeding not as myth, but as truth. He said that humans joined together, and from love and intimacy came children, real living children. "Impossible," she scoffed. "Your bodies cannot create life. Alone you speak nonsense." He only smiled. "That is what everyone says until they see it." She frowned and turned away, but his words burrowed into her mind. Could it be true? Could flesh truly create flesh without machines, without laboratories? One night under the stars, she pressed the question again. "Prove it. Show me how humans breed." He laughed softly, shaking his head. "It is not something you show to prove a point. It is something you live, something born of connection." She bristled. "You evade because you know it is false." But he met her eyes, calm and certain. "No, it is true, and one day you will understand." The days grew longer and their bond deeper. She learned to trust his hands, his voice, his presence. When storms came, he shielded her. When hunger struck, he gave her the last of his food. She began to feel something she could not name. Her people had no word for a warmth in her chest, a hunger in her soul, not for food or safety, but for him. Then came the night when raiders returned stronger than before. The human fought like fire, holding them off, but he was struck down, blood pouring from his side. She screamed his name, throwing herself over him, expecting death. But the raiders fled at last, and she was left with his body trembling beneath her hands. She worked desperately to stop the bleeding, to keep him alive. She whispered promises to stars she never believed in. "Save him, and I will believe. Anything save him, and I will give anything." And he lived. In the days that followed as he healed, she never left his side. She watched his chest rise and fall, terrified of losing him. She realized in the truth she had denied. She did not want to live in a world without him. She needed him as she needed breath. When he could stand again, he held her close, and she felt her body tremble with feelings she could not contain. "Teach me," she whispered, "teach me what it means to be human. Show me how you breed." He looked at her long and searching, and then he smiled gently. "It is not just about bodies. It is about trust, about giving yourself to another without fear. Are you ready for that?" She swallowed her fear and nodded yes. And so she learned that human breeding was not a myth. It was intimacy, laughter, whispered words in the dark. It was hearts beating together. It was vulnerability and trust. It was joy and pain and hope. And though her people called it primitive, she felt in that moment it was more advanced than anything they had ever known, for from that bond came something greater than machines. From that bond came life. Months passed, and she carried within her the proof of truth, a child growing inside her, a miracle. She looked at her reflection in the still waters of the camp and touched her stomach, trembling with awe. Her people would never believe it, But she no longer cared. She had seen with her own eyes, felt with her own body what humanity truly was. When she told him, he smiled, tears in his eyes, and whispered, "Then our future begins." Together they journeyed across stars, fleeing those who sought to take her child away. They faced warlords, slavers, and tyrants. But wherever they went, the alien girl stood proud, declaring humanity is not myth, humanity is truth, for I carry their future within me. And when at last she stood before her own people holding the child in her arms, they gasped in disbelief. They called her mad, a liar, a heretic. But then the child cried, its voice strong, and alive, undeniable proof that breeding was known at the council, real, their science shattered, their pride broken. And in that moment, the alien girl laughed the same laugh she once used to mock. Now it was her turn to mock them. You called humans primitive, but they hold power greater than your machines they create. Life not with steel, but with love. Her people could not deny it. The truth spread like fire across their worlds. The myth of human breeding was myth no longer, was reality, undeniable, unstoppable. And in time, others too came to see the beauty of what humanity offered. The alien girl who once doubted became the mother of a new age. She walked beside her human mate, raising their child, teaching both peoples that truth was stranger and stronger than myth. She had learned at last that humans eat pain and turn it into hope, that they breed not just flesh but love, courage, and future. And in that she found the meaning her people had lost for millennia. She expected humans to be predators to devour her, but instead they gave her life, they gave her love, they gave her a child, and that was a truth no empire could ever deny.